I got so much motherfucking design on right now.
Break it down, bring it back, make it clap. I got 3 old thoughts, new block, where that damn bitches on my line, and you know
Hi class. How are you? Welcome back with group 2. Today our topic is about discourse and grammar. First, Farah will talk about 1. Grammar from a discourse perspective. 2. The texture of a text. 3. Cohesion and discourse.
Hi everyone, with me again Fahradila Zahra. In this video, we are going to talk about discourse and grammar. And our first topic is about grammar from a discourse perspective. Discourse-based grammar makes a strong connection between form, function, and context, and it aims to place appropriateness and use at the center of its description. Larson Freeman stated that the form, meaning, and use need to be at the basis of all grammatical description. So that, in other words, discourse-based grammar acknowledges language choice, promote awareness of interpersonal factors in grammatical choice, and can provide insight into areas of grammar that lack of explanation. And discourse-based analysis are also useful for looking at the relationship between vocabulary items in a text. For example, the relationship between the word if and others, which are referring to inside or outside of the text, and conjunction. Alright, now we come to the texture of a text. There are 2 important attributes for the analysis of discourse. The first one is the unity of texture, and the second is the unity of structure. Alright, the first one is the unity of structure. It refers to patterns which combine together to create information structure, and it focus and flow in a text, including the schematic structure of the text. And then the second is the unity of the texture. It refers to the way of resources, such as patterns of cohesion, creates both cohesive and coherent text. The result of the texture is when language items ties meaning together in a text and 2 social contexts where the text occurs. Cohesion and discourse. Cohesion is the relationship between items in a text, such as words, phrases, and clauses, and other items such as pronouns, nouns, and conjunctions. Cohesion is also a grammatical or lexical relationship between the different elements of a text. Here, I have 5 cohesive devices. The first one is the pronouns or substitution, the ellipsis, the conjunction, the reference, and the lexical cohesion. Let's break it out one by one. When we say substitution, it is a replacement of one word or phrase with another word. It is used to avoid repetition for a particular item. For example, A said, I will have 2 eggs on the bread, and B replied, I will have the same. The second is the ellipsis. When we see ellipsis, it is the deletion or omission of the linguistic item or a word. It can be interpreted as the form of substitution in which an item is replaced by nothing. For example, A asked, where are you going? And B replied, to town, instead of I'm going to town, to make your response shorter. And the third one is the conjunction. When we say conjunction, it is a word which joins words or sentences, such as but, when, so, unless, and etc. The fourth is the reference. Reference is used to describe the different ways in which entities such as things, people, events are referred to within text linguistic features. For example, pronouns are used to refer to the already mentioned item. This part will be explained more detail by the next presenter. And the last one is the lexical cohesion. When we say lexical cohesion, it established through vocabulary. Well, reference, ellipsis, conjunction tend to link clauses which are near each other in the text. Meanwhile, lexical cohesion tends to link much larger parts of the text, so that is lexical cohesion. Now, here I have an example of cohesion, and it goes this way.
My father once bought a Lincoln convertible. He did it by saving every penny he could. That car would be worth a fortune nowadays, however. He sold it to help pay for my college education. Sometimes, I think I'd rather have the convertible.
So, as you can see in this example, there are words that were highlighted with color violet and red. These are the cohesive ties used in this text, particularly in reference. For example, the word father, which is the noun, and there are also pronoun here that was used 3 times. And also a Lincoln convertible, that car, it, and the word the in the convertible. So these are the examples of a cohesive ties in reference. Another example is cohesive ties in semantics. As you can see here, there are some words that were highlighted with color green and red. The words such as both, saving, penny, worth, fortune, sold, and pay, and it can be linked to the word money. Because actually, once you see these words, the first thing that will come to our mind is the word money, right? And also, the words once, nowadays, sometimes, it can be linked to the time. And the last is the cohesive ties in grammar. As you can see, there are some words again that were highlighted green and red. The word bought, did, would, could, and sold, these are the words in past tense. Alright, I think that's all from me. The next explanation will be explained by the next presenters.
Next, Neural will talk about 4. Reference 5. Lexical cohesion.
Assalamualaikum, hello everyone, I'm Nurul Maskara. In this video, I would like to continue my friend's presentation in the chapter of Discourse and Grammar. Now I would like to talk about reference and lexical cohesion. Check it out. Now, let's discuss about reference. Reference refers to the situation where identity of an item can be retrieved from either within or outside from the text. The main reference factors are anaphoric, cataphoric, exaphoric, and homophoric reference. Well, let's talk about anaphoric and cataphoric reference. Anaphoric and cataphoric references are linguistic devices used to link one part of a sentence to another. I'm sure that all of you have read the definition and example that is written on the book. In this video, I would like to give some other examples. First is anaphoric reference. Refers to something mentioned earlier in the text or conversation. For example, John bought a new car. He is very happy with his purchase. Here, he and his refer back to John and his new car. Second, cataphoric reference refers to something that appears later in the text or conversation. For example, before it was delivered, Sarah had already fallen in love with the dress. It had a unique design. In this case, it refers forward to the dress, which is mentioned later.
Daily conversation exempli anaphoric.
I met a friend yesterday. She had just returned from a vacation.
In this instance, she refers back to the previously mentioned friend. Cataphoric.
Before I show you the recipe, let me talk about the ingredients. They are the key to a delicious dish.
Here, they refers forward to the upcoming discussion about the ingredients.
Next, exaphoric and homophoric reference. They are types of deities which are linguistic elements that depend on context for their meaning. Third, exaphoric reference. It refers to elements in a discourse that find their meaning outside of the text or utterance. It also relies on the physical context or shared knowledge between the speaker and the listener. For example, look at that. Here, that has no clear meaning without knowing what the speaker is pointing at. Fourth, homophoric reference. It involves elements that derive their meaning from other linguistic elements within the same text or discourse. It also requires reference to other words or phrases in the same context. For example, John said he would come, but he's running late. In this case, he refers back to John in the previous sentence. Let's move on to the lexical cohesion. It refers to the relationship in meaning between lexical items in a text and in particular content, words, and the relationship between them. The main kinds of lexical cohesion are repetition, synonymy, antonymy, hyphonymy, meronymy, and collocation.
The first lexical cohesion is repetition. Repetition refers to words that are repeated in a text. This includes words which are inflected for tense or number and words which are derived from particular items, such as stored and stew in the following example. Second, synonymy. Synonymy refers to words which are similar in meaning, such as date and go out in the above example and blokes and man in the following example. In English, it is not a good way to continuously repeat the same word in a text. Both blokes and man are referring to the same concept but in a different way. Third, antonymy. Antonymy describes the opposite or contrastive meanings such as shy and forward in the earlier text and women and men, replayers and both fads and the following text. We know as we read the text which meanings contrast with each other. Part of their meaning, indeed, derives from this contrast. Next, let's talk about hyponymy and meronymy. Halliday 1990 describes two kinds of lexical taxonomies that typically occur in text: subordination and composition. These are words which are in a kind of relationship with each other, subordination, and words that are in whole part relationship with each other, or composition. In the previous text, Jan and Stuart are part of the lexical items couple, whereas he's just not that into you. He is a kind of self-help book. The relationship between Jan and couple is an example of meronymy, and the relationship between self-help book and he's just not that into you is one of hyponymy. That's all about my presentation today. Thank you very much for your great attention. The next material will be presented by my friend Fanny Tiffany. Have a nice day.
Last, Funny will talk about 6. Collocation. 7. Conjunction.
Hi, my name is Fanny Tifano. Now I would like to talk about collocation and conjunction. Firstly, collocation. What is collocation? In general, collocation means a combination of words which is always put together to create a specific meaning. In English, there are several types of collocation, such as noun plus noun like office hours, verb plus noun like take medicine, verb plus adverb like speak loudly, verb plus preposition like depend on, adjective plus noun like heavy rain, adjective plus preposition like afraid of, and so on. So, after knowing examples of collocation, collocation is not something that is restricted to a single text, but is part of textual knowledge in general. A writer and speaker of a language draws on this knowledge of collocations as they write and speak. Expert writers and readers know that only certain items collocate with each other. That is, we know that we say take medicine, but not drink or eat medicine. Secondly, conjunction. A further way in which language contributes to the texture of a text is through the use of conjunction. What is conjunction? Conjunction refers to words such as and, however, finally, in conclusion, and so on that join phrases, clauses, or section of a text in such a way that they express the logical semantic relationship between them. Conjunctions are described by Halliday and Hassan, 1976, under the groupings of additive, adversative, causal, and temporal conjunctions. Martin, 1992, and Martin and Rosa, 2003, further extended Halliday and Hassan's work in this area, discussing conjunctions under the categories of additive, comparative, temporal, and consequential conjunctions, which are summarized in Table 6.1. Okay, now let's take a look at Table 6.1. Additive conjunctions include and, or, moreover, in addition, and alternatively. That is, they draw the notion addition in both a positive and contrastive sense. Comparative conjunctions include whereas, but, on the other hand, likewise, and equally, drawing on the notion of comparison in both a positive and negative sense. Temporal conjunctions include while, when, after, meanwhile, then, finally, and at the same time. And the last one, consequential conjunctions include items such as so that, because, since, thus, if, therefore, in conclusion, and in this way. Not all authors, however, see conjunction in this way. Van de Coppel, 1985, for example, talks about text connectives rather than conjunctions, which are used to indicate how parts of a text are connected to each other. Chris Moore et al., 1993, discussed textual markers which help to organize discourse. Highland, 2005, adds the category of frame markers to the discussion, which include the material in the text, such as first and next. Items which label the stages of the text, such as in conclusion and finally. Items which announce the goal of the discourse, such as my aim here is to. And items which announce a change in topic, such as well and now. Alright, I think that's all from our group 2, and the next subtopics will be discussed by group 3. Bye!
Alright class, that's all from group 2. Thank you for watching, and see you!
Everyone, how's your life? I hope you are doing well. My name is Tadia Azrieliani from Group 3. In this special occasion, let me continue what the Group 2 has explained before. I'm going to explain two parts such as substitution and ellipsis, then the patterns of cohesion. In this course analysis, substitution and ellipsis are two types of grammatical cohesion that are used to connect parts of a discourse. So, what is that? If you are still confused, please pay attention to this video. First, substitution. A substitute form is used for another language item, phrase, or group. We can say that substitution is the alternation of a specific linguistic unit in a discourse with another linguistic unit that has the same or similar meaning. It can be substitution of nouns with other nouns, substitution of verbs with other verbs, or substitution of clauses with other clauses. Let's see the following example.
This example can involve substituting an item for a noun. In the following example, one that I bold substitutes for the noun of book. Next, it can involve substituting an item for a verb. In this example, done substitutes for the verb group of had dinner. Next, an item may also substitute for a clause. In the following example, so substitutes for the clause you are still happy.
Next, ellipsis. With ellipsis, some essential elements is omitted from the text and can be recovered to a preceding element in the text. Ellipsis may involve the omission of a noun or noun group, a verb or verbal group, or a clause. Let's see the following example. It is a radio call-in show. There are examples of ellipses in each of the caller's responses.
In the caller's first response, the main clause I want to say is ellipsed. If we would like to talk in grammar, we may add I want to say. But here we omit it. In the second response, it was over is ellipsed. And then the final response of a whole clause is omitted, like they usually are silly. And the main clause of the next two dependent clauses I want to say are omitted. These are ellipsed as the caller response built on the content.
Next, the differences between references, ellipses, and substitution. It is important to point out the differences between reference and ellipsis substitution. One difference is that reference can reach a long way back in the text. Meanwhile, ellipsis and substitution are largely limited to the immediately preceding clause. Another key difference is that with reference, there is a typical meaning of co-reference. That is, both items typically refer to the same thing. With ellipsis and substitution, this is not the case. There is always some difference between the second instance and the first. A speaker or writer want to revert to the same thing they use reference. If they want to revert to something different, they use ellipsis and substitution. Second point is about patterns of cohesion.
The following two paragraphs of Milne's Winnie the Pooh, 1965, in terms of lexical cohesion and the main reference chains in this section of the text. Those two paragraphs open Milne's book. As can be seen in figure 6.6, there are three main lexical chains in this section of the text. The first is the subject of the text, Winnie the Pooh. The second is the staircase, and then the third is the way in which Winnie the Pooh comes down the stairs. Winnie the Pooh's formal name is Edward Bear. This is what he is called in the first time he is mentioned in the text. The next item, hat, is in a part-whole relationship with Edward Bear. That is, a hat is part of a bear, in this case, Edward Bear. The relationship between these two items is one of meronymy.
Hi everyone, I'm Nana Nadia. I'm from Group 3, so I would like to continue my friend's presentation about discourse grammar. In this part, I would like to tell you about rhyme and theme. So, what is theme? In discourse analysis, theme refers to a concept that helps researchers identify and analyze the central ideas, topics, or subjects that are present in a piece of discourse, such as a text, conversation, or a speech. Theme analysis is a fundamental aspect of discourse analysis as it helps researchers understand the underlying structure and content of communication. According to Halliday, 1985, theme is the element which serves as the point of departure of the message. It also introduces information prominence from the clause. For example, in the sentence below from a dictionary of social linguistics. Theme can be thought as the key message of recurring concepts that emerge from the discourse. Analyzing themes involve identifying pattern and recurring elements within the discourse, which can provide insights into the intention, beliefs, values, and ideologies of speakers or authors. Overall, the analysis of themes in discourse helps researchers gain a better understanding of the content, structure, and communicative strategies employed by the speaker or author, as well as the broader implication of the discourse within a given context. Next part is about rhyme. What is rhyme? In discourse analysis, the term rhyme is used in relation to the concept of theme. Together, they make up the theme-rhyme structure, which is a linguistic and discourse analysis framework used to analyze the structure of sentences and utterance in spoken or written language. The theme-rhyme structure help identify and understand the information, and the rhyme follows the theme and represents the new or focused information that is being introduced or emphasized in the sentence. Theme-rhyme structure helps in understanding how speakers or writers structure their communication and how they introduce, develop, and emphasize information. It is particularly useful in analyzing complex sentences or discourse because it allows researchers to identify the core message or point of a sentence. And here is an example to illustrate the theme-rhyme structure. In the sentence, yesterday I visited the new art museum. For the theme is yesterday. For the background or introductory information. And the rhyme is I visited the new art museum for new or focused information. The sentence yesterday served as the theme, providing the temporal context, while the rhyme I visited the new art museum conveys the main action or event being discussed. Analyzing the theme-rhyme structure in discourse can help researchers understand how information flows, what is emphasized, and how speakers or writers manage the coherence and cohesion of their communication. The next part is interpersonal theme. Interpersonal theme refers to an item that comes before the theme, which indicate relationship between participants in the text or the position of point of view that is being taken to the clause. The interpersonal theme relates to the interaction between the speaker or the writer and the audience. It addresses how language is used to express attitude, opinion, intention, and interpersonal relationship within the discourse. According to Halliday and Math Lesson 2004, an interpersonal theme can express probability, for example, perhaps, usuality, for example, sometimes, typicality, for example, generally, or obviousness, for example, surely. It can also express opinion, for example, to my mind, and admission, for example, frankly, and etc. The last part is about multiple themes. The concept of multiple themes refers to the presence or more than one central idea or topic within a given piece of discourse, for example, a text, conversation, or speech. When multiple themes are identified, it means that the discourse addresses and explores several subjects. Analyzing multiple themes in discourse is essential for understanding the complexity of the communication and the various messages. Analyzing multiple themes in discourse grammar allows for a more comprehensive comprehensive understanding of the content, structure, and strategies employed within the discourse. It helps researchers uncover the richness and diversity of ideas and messages present in the communication, which can be valuable for interpreting the discourse overall meaning and significance.
Hello everyone, my name is Arya Hotima. I'm from group 3. Now I will continue about what is my friend explanation before, and I will explain now about the first is focus thematic progression, and the second is focusing on cohesion. Let's do the first part. Well, in this part, I will explanation about what is a thematic progression, and the second is discussed below. The first is thematic progression. So, what is thematic progression? Did you know about it? If you know, let's discuss about it. The first is thematic progression refers to the way in which the theme or a clause may pick up or repeat a meaning from a preceding theme or rhyme. And this is a key way in which information flow is created in the text. There are a number of ways in which this may be done. So the next is there are discussed below. Okay, constant rhyme is one of the example from the thematic progression. Constant rhyme is a theme pick up and repeat at the beginning of the next clause, and secondly that each clause will be have something to say about the theme, like that. For example, the theme text and the rhyme can be used for both spoken and written language, like that. The next part is linear theme. Linear theme is one of the example from the thematic progression. What is the linear theme? So, the linear theme is another common pattern to use a thematic progression is when the subject matter in the rhyme of one clause is taken up in the theme of the following the clause. Okay. For the example of linear theme is the theme, the term modality, and for the rhyme describe a range of grammatical resorts used to express probability or obligation, like that. This is the last example of thematic progression is a split rhyme. So what is split rhyme? I will explain it. Split rhyme is the equal includes other kinds of progression such as multiple theme or split theme patterns. It's multiple theme progression as a rhyme may include a number of different places of information. Each might be taken up as theme in the number of sequence of clause. For example, in Japan, when Japanese people, for the theme, when the Japanese people, the two alphabet, and for the rhyme, they use a katakana and hiragana. Okay, the next part is focusing on cohesion in student text. So when and where and how cohesion can help student text. Okay, I will explain about it. Okay. Focusing on clause on pattern of cohesion can especially useful is for helping students with their writing, an important feature of the well-written text in the unity, like that. So how the cohesion, focusing on cohesion can help student text. Okay guys, this is the last part from me. The next part will be continued by my friend.